The male reproductive system anatomy review. The male reproductive system is similar to the female reproductive system in that it has the gonads, which in the male are the testes, and the female, remember, are the ovaries. There are accessory organs that male reproductive system review. The male reproductive system. The primary sex organs are the testes, or gonads. They produce testosterone and sperm. There are accessory organs, the ducts, the glands, and external genitalia that are also part of the reproductive system. The male reproductive tract serves both the urinary and reproductive systems, since the urethra is the passageway for both urine and sperm, as you might recall from the urinary system slides. Let's look at the male reproductive tract. So you can see that I have labeled in blue the duct system, and I have labeled in red the vesicles or glands that produce semen, as well as other accessory organs, just to give you an idea of where everything is situated. So the duct system consists of the epididymis, the vas deferens or ductus deferens, the ejaculatory duct, and the urethra. And the accessory glands that produce semen that we'll cover are the seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral glands. So let's take a look at the anatomy of the duct system. The epididymis, its function is to store sperm until ejaculation. So the sperm are produced in the testes, stored in the epididymis. Upon ejaculation, the sperm will then travel through the ductus deferens that delivers sperm from the epididymis to the ejaculatory duct, which is within the pelvic cavity. The ejaculatory duct is quite short. It actually receives secretions from the seminal vesicles and then connects the duct with the urethra, which is the pathway for sperm to be conveyed out of the body. And then here's a summary of the pathway. So again, sperm are delivered to the exterior through the duct system. So stored in the epididymis and then passed through the ductus deferens, the ejaculatory duct, and the urethra. Here's an anterior view of all of the anatomical structures that we just talked about, so you can kind of get an idea where things are situated from this perspective. Let's talk again about the testes. So they are paired gonads in the male that are contained within the scrotum. And the scrotum is a sac of skin that hangs outside of the abdominal pelvic cavity. And the significance of this is that it maintains temperature about 3 degrees Celsius lower there than core body temperature would be. This is optimal for sperm production. The testes contain multitudes of seminiferous tubules. They're also known as sperm factories, and they produce about 400 million sperm per day. Also within the testes, we have interstitial cells or Leydig cells, and they produce testosterone. You can kind of see in the diagram a little bit of those structures I mentioned. So the seminiferous tubules, just miles of coiled tubes where sperm are formed, and then in between those tubes are cells, Leydig cells, that produce the testosterone. Another aspect of the male reproductive system is the penis. This is the male copulatory organ, so not the primary sex organ, but the copulatory organ. And with the scrotum forms the external genitalia. It consists of a root, a free shaft, and the glans penis. It has a thick skin covering called the prepuce, and then within the penis is erectile tissue that fills with blood during sexual excitement, the corpus spongiosum, and the corpus cavernosum. And if I back up 2 slides, you can see in blue around the spongy urethra the erectile tissue. You can also see a cross-section at the very bottom of this slide. If you take a cross-section, you can see where that erectile tissue is situated in the penis. So the corpus cavernosa or cavernosum is really 2 bodies, and then surrounding the urethra is the corpus spongiosum. Accessory glands. So let's take a look at those glands that produce semen. The seminal vesicles, there are a pair of those. They produce 70% of the volume of semen. The prostate also contributes to semen, about the other 30%, or 29.8 or whatever percent, quite almost the entire rest of the volume. It activates the sperm. And then bulbal urethral glands contribute some to the volume of semen. They're situated so that their secretions really precede ejaculation. They lubricate the gland's penis as well as neutralize traces of acid urine in the urethra. So if we back up, you can see where these glands are located. Seminal vesicles here, prostate gland here, and then bulbal urethral glands here. And they really help to neutralize acid in the penis. The semen, just in general, its whole volume facilitates the movement of sperm, provides nutrients for the sperm, contains chemicals that activate sperm, contains 20 to 150 million sperm per milliliter, so very sperm dense, has a pH that is slightly alkaline, which is significant because in the female vagina is very acidic, which is hostile to sperm, so this alkaline nature of semen helps to neutralize that, giving sperm the ability to survive that environment. The prostate gland, if we want to focus on that just a little bit more, one of the accessory glands that produces about a third of the volume of semen. It is an exocrine gland of the male reproductive system. It stores and secretes a clear, slightly basic fluid, which is really significant because of that overall alkaline pH of semen is really attributed to secretions from the prostate gland. And I show you this diagram more up close because it will be significant for you in your program to know where the prostate gland is located, and it is a gland that is frequently part of surgeries and so forth. Sperm formation. So spermatogenesis, that word means sperm formation. In the male, it begins at puberty. So males do not begin to produce their gametes until puberty with the onset of testosterone. It occurs in the seminiferous tubules, as I mentioned before. And just to kind of bring back some of your anatomy from the past, sperm are haploid, meaning they're an N, and they contain 23 chromosomes, where all other body cells are diploid, or 2 Ns, so they contain 46 chromosomes. Formation of sperm in the gametes involves a process of cell division called meiosis. So if you remember cell division, the actual dividing of a cell, one cell into two identical daughter cells is called mitosis. Well, there is an additional step in the formation of sperm that will take that chromosome count from 46 down to 23, and that's called meiosis. And then testosterone, we'll wrap up with that. It's released at puberty. It triggers spermatogenesis. It is anabolic, meaning it has a growth impact on the body. We know that at puberty, male and female, but due to testosterone, the male growth spurt's quite radical. We see lots of skeletal bone growth, both in length and density, an increase in skeletal muscles in their size and mass, and also some additional characteristics include lower voice, pubic axillary and facial hair, also thickened skin and more productive oil glands. Those are all impacts of testosterone, and again, you don't see this until puberty. And that concludes our review of the male reproductive tract and system.